Hey guys, this is Mike Taralla with Qlik, and welcome to the next video in the Do More with Qlik Tips and Tricks Edition series. In the last video, I finished up the 3 parts on styling your charts and apps. In this video, we're going to talk about the master item library. Before we continue, please be sure to visit the Qlik Learning portal at learning.qlik.com for all your personalized and structured learning needs of what Qlik has to offer. Here you can select from both free and subscription-based content, instructor-led training, skills assessments, and robust video tutorials. Check out the video tour on the main page to get started. Okay, so master items. The first thing I want to point out is after you create a sheet within your app, you will most likely be brought into the Simplified Authoring view, as you see here. Your master items are located next to the real fields that are loaded into the app. Now this app has master items already defined. So you have your real fields, which are loaded from the load script or from the selection of your tables from the data stored in the database or data source. And then master items are defined from those real fields. So for example, if we look at average sales and just click on it, you can see it's average sales amount. Actual amount is sum actual amount. So when you create that measure, you're utilizing an aggregate or an expression or formula along with the real fields that are defined. If we look at central margin, you can see a little bit more advanced expression using set analysis and so forth. Okay. So master items create a reusable list of governed measures and dimensions that can be used by the developer, or if the app is published to a managed space, they can also be used for those users to create their own analytics based off of approved content. So if they don't have developer rights, but you still want them to be able to create their own analysis, they can do so with master items that are published to a managed space within an app. So while you're in the master items area, you have the option to create a new measure by clicking the Create New button. The same goes for the dimension. Or if you are in the fields list, you can select a real field and right-click and select Create Dimension or Measure. Basically, each option brings up the dialog where you define your description, your expression, your label, etc. Now, what's nice about master items, you also can do some additional formatting. So you could define number formatting. For measures, you can define dynamic label expressions, as well as dynamic descriptions. You could add tags for searching, and then you could also define segment colors. Segment colors allows you to define a range of values and assign a set of colors or a gradient to those values. Okay, so let's just create a very simple one. What we're going to do is I have a new app with everything ready to go. Nothing's been defined in this particular app just yet. So for example, here we have our real fields, and we can do things very simply, such as notice that country is in all uppercase. I can right-click, create dimension, and you can see it uses the real field country. It gives it the name of country in capital case. I'm just going to use mixed case, and we're going to leave it just like that. And you'll notice within the dimension, I could actually define a color for that particular dimension that will be used within the library if we choose. So let's just choose this purple color for now. And you'll notice that you also can define a single dimension, which is just that particular field, or you can define a hierarchy or a drill down. So when this is used within a chart, you can actually drill to the different parent-child relationship that you define. And we can set that up for another segment in the video. So here we're just defining a simple dimension. I click Create, and I can do this again, and keep clicking Create. But basically, when we go to Master Items, we'll have our country. Now the same thing for fields. In here we have our sales figure. I can right-click, Create Measure. Now we can go into our expression editor, and to keep things simple, I can just type in sum sales. You can also use the input areas for tables and fields and aggregates and some other functions that are available as well. And then we can give this a name and call it total sales. And we could assign the formatting as money. So now in our master items, we have total sales and country. So I can drag over total sales, drag over country, and now with the auto chart selected, you can see we have a nice geographical map that's showing sales by country. And you can see it automatically is colored by the highest sales with the darker color. So that being said, with master items, within simplified authoring, you can define your dimensions and measures. Now, if you go into advanced options, you have the ability of taking the chart that you've created and saving it to be reusable, to be reused as another chart in another sheet or for other users to use it in their analytics. Now, a little tip here is when you create the chart with the wizard or the auto chart setting, sometimes we have auto chart suggestions. You see the switch is turned on. You'll have to turn that off. If you go to drag it into the asset panel, it'll say item cannot be added. So you make sure you turn off chart suggestions. You can define your different styling and properties for the chart and drag it over. Now, if you have a title, for example, sales by country, and you drag it over into the master items, it'll use that master item name, which is the same as the title you entered. If not, you just enter it in, then click add. So the advanced options not only let you define the dimensions and measures, very similar to like I showed you in the simplified authoring, same exact dialog panels, but you also have the addition of now reusing and saving your defined visualizations. So for argument's sake, if I just delete this visualization, I can just drag it out anytime, multiple times, and then make adjustments. So if I want to unlink this visualization, there's two things you can do. You can click edit and click OK, and this will allow you to make some minor changes to the map, but it's allowing the master visualization to be maintained within the library. So if I want to make some layer changes or property changes, you can do an edit of the master visualization or the master item. Or you can select the More button in the upper corner and choose Unlink Visualization. And what that's going to do is basically remove it from the connection in the master items and then allow you to customize this completely. And you have full access to all the different settings and properties that the map offers. Okay, so you have the option of editing the master item with slight variation in properties or unlinking it from the master items library and have access to the full properties. And then once you're done, you can drag it in again and give it another new name. Okay, so that's some of the differences between advanced options and the simplified authoring, and then allowing you to create those master visualizations. Okay, so let me just show you one use of the library colors that we defined. So what I'm going to do is grab a chart. I'm going to grab a bar chart, and I'm going to add country. And you can see when you add dimensions in this manner, it puts the master items up top. So there's our country, and same for measure, there's total sales. So now we have a bar chart. Now you'll see the different dimensions, the values have the color purple, because when we defined that dimension, we chose purple for the dimension color. If I move over to appearance and we go to color and legend, you can see it's set for auto colors. You can turn off auto colors and it's set by the single color. If we turn back auto colors, it uses the library colors, or we can go back and tell it to use the library color we defined for the dimension, and you can see it's back there. So you have a way of defining that structure, and if you change the setting within the master item, it's going to reflect in the chart. So if I go to master items and I go to dimensions and we go to country and we edit, and I just change the dimension color to blue, it changes it for me. So if I had duplicate charts using that dimension, so here let's just copy and paste, and let's just change this to a different chart. You can use a scatter plot. And let's add our total sales. And I think I have margin in here that we could use as well. We'll use average margin. And we're going to use that same country dimension. Now, if we go into master items, and I just changed the color, being we're using the library colors, let's just use this different purple. You'll notice that both charts updated for me. So it's a great way of creating a centralized area of those defined dimensions as well as those library colors that you might have defined. Okay, so to wrap up this particular video, we're going to take this app and we're going to publish it, and I want to show you the other benefit of where the master items and visualizations come into play. So here we're just going to drag this one over, sales by country bar. And we'll call this one sales versus margin by country. And we're going to keep this sheet just like we see here. I'm going to go to Sheets, and we're going to right click and make it public. And now we're going to go back to the hub where we created this particular app, which I have available here as getting started. So I'm going to take this app and we're going to publish it to a managed space. And I have a space called Sales Managed. Now I covered this in other videos earlier in the series for those who might not know. And I click Publish. Now I'm going to switch over to another user. And this user happens to be named Donkey Kong. And I also covered this earlier in the series. You can see now he is logged in to the managed space, and he has now access to that app. I'm going to click on Open App. And now you can see that sheet that we just published. But being Donkey Kong has the contribute flag, when he goes to Sheets, he can create a new sheet. And then when he clicks Edit, it's going to use the dimensions and the measures that the developer defined. And you'll notice they don't have access to the actual real fields. They just have access to the defined dimensions and measures. So I'm just going to switch over to Advanced Options. And you can see the view here. So if the user wanted to create their own analysis, just like I showed you a moment ago, maybe they didn't want a map, maybe they want to convert it to a bar chart. And now they're creating their own analytics. And the same concept goes for the master items with visualizations. They can pull out those charts that have been saved. And then as I showed you, they can unlink the visualization, and then they can make their customizations. And then when they're done, they can publish it to the community, and then other users will have access to those analytics created by Donkey Kong. So it's a great way of allowing other users to contribute to the overall knowledge and decision making. Okay, so that's all I want to cover in this particular video for master items. It was a good base understanding. There are a lot more things that we can cover. Perhaps I'll cover them in shorter snippets and videos in this series. I do encourage you to ask questions and even make suggestions on other topics or tips and tricks that you want to know about within the Qlik Cloud Analytics platform. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Take care.